So what we're going to talk about now is Dagger. I want to talk about Dagger really quickly, but the philosophy is not like what I went over previously. That was like pure dependency injection from scratch, right? So it's a little bit more difficult here because like in order to set up Dagger, what you're doing is you're literally like doing field injection. Field injection is something that we consider bad in dependency injection. It's usually when you're working with legacy frameworks, and I would consider Android a legacy framework because you want to inject into something that didn't use dependency injection before, right? And so that's why you're injecting here and not in, because there's no constructor. You don't have a constructor for activities, right? Right? So there's no way to configure that. But the truth is, I don't think that you'll see the full magnitude of dependency injection on Android unless you create very complex services, because for the most part, everything is within your activity scope, right? You're not creating anything outside of it unless you're creating like services. Like a perfect example is an upload service. That's when dependency injection was really good. So their way of defining modules is slightly different as well. That's something you should be careful about, but you can kind of see that they can do like binding into and all that stuff. So if I'm correct, what they have to, in order to bootstrap and to get this to work, you have to override. Remember how we overrode the application when we were working with themes? You would have to do the same thing right here, which is you would have to override the application and create the injector. So I'm not going to go through the details of this, but it's kind of interesting. I can talk about the details of this like on one-on-one if you guys are interested at some point. But again, I want to focus on the concrete part of dependency injection so that you guys understood like why it's good first. Okay? All right. Next topic. Tree's favorite. RX. RX, reactive. Okay? All right. So let's do this. Let me close this. That was my practice round. All right. New project. Lecture 8. Okay. So who knows reactive? No, yes, kind of. You know reactive. You definitely know reactive. Okay. So sorry, I missed it. One, two, three.
Yeah.
Reactive. Not react. Reactive. Okay. Reactive is the new sexiness. That's how I would describe it. Everyone's using it. Not just Java, not just Android, iOS, it's JavaScript. Everyone's using reactive. So one of the reasons why I am teaching reactive in this class is one, because I think it's a new modern architecture. But even more importantly, it's because I think I mentioned this before. I want you guys to be very cautious of when you guys use it, and I will talk about why. Because you will see the power of it, and then often what happens is people just use it everywhere, and it will give you a very good sense of, and I'll talk about why that's the case, and what to watch out for. Okay, so we're gonna do the standard tree example.
What?
I will. Okay, so let's just change this. All right, so we should all be able to do this part. Linear layout. Let's get rid of this text view. Orientation, vertical. Right. Okay. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to drop in a few things. I'm going to drop in, and we're going to drop in a button. Okay? A button. Okay. Cool? You good?
Yeah.
Okay, let's run this. Uh-oh. Okay, right? Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to be able the person to type in stuff. Well, let's make it, sorry, let's make one more. Okay, so right now this is name. So what we want is, this is a form, okay? We want the button to be enabled when the form is finished, and for it to be disabled when it's not, right?
Let's change the name, phone, and
Okay.
first name,
Okay.
last name, password.
Okay.
To
Name. Okay, so hold on, let's delete this. Well, actually, I should delete all of them, right? So, but yes. So okay, first one. This one will be phone. This one will be name. This one will be what? Password. Okay, email. Okay, guys. So how would you guys code? Talk me through how you guys would code this normally. This button. Okay, so let's make this disabled by default, right? Where's enabled? Sure. So let's see. Button. I think there's what? Enabled. False, right? So if I run it. Okay. How would you guys normally have done this? How would you check to make sure that it's complete? Talk me through this, guys.
maybe on the text change, and then I will check if on the text has already been filled.
Okay.
And it will make the text.
So it'd be what? RID. What? Email. You would add what? An on change list, set on change listener, or on what?
Change.
What?
On text change.
On
Add
add text change. What? Oh, sorry, I didn't cast it. Sorry. Yeah, edit text. Edit text. Add. Add text change listener, right? But then you would literally like on text change for each one of these, like add the same listener and then check the fields for all three of them, right?
Yeah.
So you might have like a function private boolean is form finished, right? And literally this would check like each one. You would do like, you would check ID, email, whatever to make sure that they're all set. This is like, there's two things with this. Like you have code that's separated and broken up all over the place. And then, yeah, it's just really confusing to understand sometimes, right? So, okay, so the general thing with reactive is that it turns everything into an observable. So you can observe it for something, right? So it's just think of like it as emitting something. Basically, I can create an observable out of a text listener, or sorry, out of a text or edit text, and I just want to listen for text change events, right? So it's now emitting text changes events whenever it happens. Does that kind of make sense? So now just imagine like the entire world changes into observable. I can observe, I don't know, Tree, give me another example of something I can observe.
Have like the button. Each time we tap on the button is one kind of observable.
Right.
Or each time we drag, like a drag and drop some item on the screen, and each time the position of the item change, maybe one kind of observable, and another kind is each time the API call the network,
yep.
and network respond the data is asynchronous, right? Maybe it's another kind of observable.
So just think of the world as broadcasting events. Everything broadcasts an event. And if you want to do something with it, you collect the events that you want to listen for and then react to it. So it's very functional. But the way I like to think of it is, as some of you guys know, I am a computer architect by training. It's like listening to a signal on a wire, right? In this case, I want to listen for 3 text change events, right? And I want to then change that into a signal for the button, right? Right? I'm listening to these 3, and eventually I want to, right? Right, so it's like, what do you call that? We call that anding, right? Like in computer architecture, like we say that you're anding this together to get, your next results.
Combine.
Yeah. What?
Combine.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and install RX Android. So there's something called RX Java and RX Android. So RX Java is just a general base framework so that you can convert everything up to observable. RX Android is specific to Android, so you can observe things like UI components and stuff like that. They already created an observable out of like edit text and stuff like that, right? They've created wrappers for you, so you don't have to do the conversion by yourself. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's install this. Okay, so we do this. We pull that into the Gradle. Okay. So RX is now becoming so big that we actually have to get library-specific things that we want. Dependencies are now broken out. Okay. So I think the other one is Jake Wharton's. Let's see. RX binding. Okay? So let's see. RX binding. Okay? And there's a bunch for support libraries as well. So let's just get this in. Okay? And sync. Cool. Cool. Right? Alright. So again, this is the before. Okay, now what do we want to do? We want to convert all of this into observables. RX. Text change. I'm looking for text changes, right? What's complainer? Okay. What is this? Let's see. It's a what is it called? An initial value observable char sequence, right? So let's just call this email changed. Correct? Okay. Now what do we need? You create 3 more, right? What was it? Was phone? Phone. What was the other one? Password? Name. Okay. Name changed. Phone changed, right? Okay? Okay, so let's say I want the button to be enabled just off of the name. What do I do? Say name, changed. This is an observable. I'm going to subscribe. And subscribe, you have a bunch of stuff that you can subscribe to. So I can subscribe. Sorry, let me so that you guys can see that again. So, wait, can I hover? Okay, so there's a bunch of things that you can subscribe to. You can subscribe for when it completes, for when it errors, for when it's canceled, right? So you can subscribe to a lot of things. But basically, what you want to do is for on next. So actually, so there's a few ways to do this. One is if I create an observable, you can see all the things that I can subscribe to. So on subscribe, on next, on error, on complete. Okay? But in this case, what you usually typically say is you want just on next, right? Because you've received the signal that this is happening, so you want to subscribe for on next. So then you can say, what is it? Subscribe, new consumer. Okay, char sequence. Okay, and then, so what if char sequence is what? Char sequence length greater than 0, then what? We will set the button, right, to be on, right? Okay, so I will change this to be button. Set enabled, is that correct, or is it if it's, yep, if it's greater than 0, right? All right, let's run this. Okay, so let's go look at the simulator. I think the top one's name, right? It's currently enabled. Oh, it works, right? Okay, great. Now what happens if you want to combine it? There's something called observable combined latest. So it takes a name change or a list of observables and also a combiner. So you can see all the stuff that's there, right? So wait, let's see what type of thing I said. Okay, so this is what, a function 3? Yeah, a new function 3. Like, pretty terrible name. If you're using lambdas though, you can actually write it really quickly, but we're not going to do that. What is this? Okay, implement the method. Oh, sorry. And then you have a return type. We're going to require Boolean, right? So basically what I want to say is if all 3 of these things are, so you can do a lot of checks, right? So this is basically saying this Boolean is returning a Boolean if the form is filled out. So if you have email, you can do an email check. You can say, is there something in the email and is it the right format, right? But let's not do that. You guys can figure that part out because all you're returning is a Boolean, right? So I can say char sequence and right 1, 2, and 2 and 3, right? So you guys should rename this, of course. 2, 3, right? Correct? And then I can subscribe on this, and I can do the same thing, right? So it is new consumer, requires a Boolean, and then, again, you guys should rename it accordingly. Okay? And then I am going to run this. Do you guys see what the power of it is, right? Is now like, what a lot of people are doing is, for a lot of the frameworks, they're creating observables out of a lot of stuff. And now your business logic is, I observe, and then I perform some action once I get those signals, right? I can do a lot of things, right? I can combine them together. They have a lot of different action items, right? You should go and take a look at the list. What? Sorry.
You want to see?
Yeah. Yeah. Where's the list? Is it around here?
Marble.
Box? Where? Here, type it.
It's marble. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you can see all the diagrams for everything. So you have delay, you have merge. They have a lot of different things, right? Won't go into the details of this, but you'll be able to. It gets really complicated because you can basically take streams. You're basically forming these streams and then combining them to whatever you want, right? Okay. So let's make sure this works. Type, still empty, boom, right? Worked, right? It worked. Yay, right? Okay, so there's a few things that I haven't talked about here, and we'll go through them. One, this produces something called subscription. Sorry. This subscribe, the action, let's see, form completion subscription. What? Oh, I think I used the wrong subscription. Is that the right subscription? Oh, wait. What's going on here? Weird. Okay, let's change this row. This was. Yeah, so you can get rid of it. This is important if you have something that is handling something across threads. Remember, there's an on destroy here, right? There's an on create, on what is it? On destroy, right? Or whatever. You have to, if you're doing something, you don't want this. This is literally listening for the subscription. You want that to complete, so you want to kill your subscription when you're finished, when you don't need it anymore, right? Okay. The other thing is that I haven't talked about is, which thread is this running on?
Main thread.
This is running on main thread. We don't specify it, but by default, with RX Android, this is running on the main thread. And I'm going to show you in the next one, we're going to do the API stuff, how to do multi-threading. All right? Okay? Okay. I do want to talk about the dangers, though, after this. After all this. Okay, so we're going to go back to lecture 2. You guys remember this New York Times thing that we created? Remember, we had we used retrofit. We used we created this manager that basically creates the service. Awesome, right? It was cool. Okay, so retrofit actually now has an adapter that allows you to create an observable. Okay? So let's just go through the process of changing it. So I can change this to observable. So, actually, first of all, I should show you guys that I included 3 new libraries. So there's, well, again, RX Android, RX Java, and there's one other thing. It's called the adapter, RX adapter for retrofit. Okay? And that's because when you're calling your generator, here, remember when you do the build, what is it? A call adapter factory, and I think, what is it called? RX adapter. So you have to tell it to create an observable now, instead of previously we had a call, right? And you can see how that was used previously, which was in, where is it? Main activity, right? It's here, right? That's how it was previously used. Okay, cool. So we on-queued, we had an on-response, on-failure. Okay, now this becomes an observable. So what are we going to do? Subscribe. So again, new consumer. Let's just do the same thing for now. This comes with new response. Okay. Okay. This is going to break. Why?
Because it's run on main thread.
Because it's run on the main thread. We didn't specify threads. So, this is observing. We want it to observe on a what? Shoot. What is it? New thread? New thread. Yeah, I forgot exactly what it was. Let's see. Where is it? RX Android. Shoot. Subscribe on. Okay, sorry. Schedulers. Actually, it was right. Schedulers new thread, right? Schedulers new thread. Subscribe on, what was it? Android scheduler main thread. Okay, what's happening? It's running this on a new thread. When it gets the response back, it kicks it out back to the main thread and then running this. Okay? So let's debug. It should work. Uh-oh, died. What happened? What happened?
Observe on main thread and subscribe on new thread. I think so.
Subscribe.
Subscribe on new thread, but observe on main thread.
Wait. Where's the error? Right? Is that right? I don't think so. Oh yeah. That's right. Is that okay? Yeah, that's right. So that's right. The act of subscribing and you're observing on. That's right. Okay, running. It's running. You get the data back. Wait, it says no adapter. Wait, no. Run. You want me to run a search, huh? I think something is broken right now. Let's see. Response. That should have worked before. Let's see. We have to. Okay, it's hitting there. I bet you we have an error. So let's get rid of this and say new observer. And so I will. Sorry. Copy this. Let's do new observer. Okay. Value, but let's add a breakpoint for here. Right. Okay, let's run. Let's see what's going on. It's definitely hitting it. Okay, it's hitting it. What? Is it hitting anything? Huh, weird. Okay, well this was working before. It's weird that's not hitting at any of it. Why? Why is that? Let's see. Response. Retrofit, we got the observable. Strange. Okay.
I think that
There's this is the same thing that I had last time, which is
enable host.
Yes, I had a problem with this before. So it like worked fine when I was not here, but it worked fine So it looks like there's a network problem. Okay. So there's actually a way. So did you see how long that took? They actually have function calls to reduce your timeout. So you can have like your observer. You can actually run something on top of this that says like I don't know, like some delay, some timeout, and then you can get it to kick out faster. Okay.
I'm going to ask why we need to subscribe on new threads. What wrong when we subscribe on the main thread?
Well, you're making an API call. It'll block.
Like lock on
It'll block the main thread.
and subscribe on. If we subscribe on new thread, if we observe.
You can. Well, so the problem is that if you observe on another new thread, the thing is that you're doing UI actions. You could wait for it to come back and do like caching, for example, somewhere. But it's because you want to do something on the UI thread. You're making a call on the view, right? Remember, you can't modify the view on another thread. You have to modify like view on the main thread. Okay? Cool. So now I will talk to you about what you guys have to be worried about and why I actually don't like teaching reactive per se early on. because I think reactive can get really dangerous. I think I mentioned this before. So within this scope and this scope, this scope, right, and this scope is pretty self-contained, right? I'm observing something and then I'm reacting to it, and it's within like the activity scope. The problem is that reactive turns everything into observable. Like reactive, you can change your model into observables, right? You can change a whole slew of different things to observables, and so everyone thinks of it as, imagine if like you were working with it. You can treat it almost like a signal, right? That's how like these are sort of drawn out. If you look at RX marbles, right? They're just little signals that are coming through. The problem is that an observable now becomes a universal interface. It's a universal interface that you can use anywhere. So what I often see people do is that they just start plugging in things everywhere. I was like, oh, I can observe here. They don't create higher levels of abstractions to get the right observable that they want, right? Instead, it looks like this. I got this picture specifically for this reason. This is what it looks like, right? You literally have an interface that you can use everywhere. So what people do is they say, oh, well, I can listen to this text field, so I might as well just plug it in there, right? I plug in here, and I have actually seen this in practice. So people, because it's crazy. Some people, so when me and Tree were talking, what I explained to him is they observe something, then that creates a model, then the model triggers something else, which triggers it to pull again, and then you hit this infinite loop, right? It literally is like pulling the same thing over and over again, right? So how should I explain? You observe the model, which changes the text field. It's listening for the change in the text field, which causes it to pull data, and then you create like this infinite chain. So because observables are now universal and you can use them anywhere, right? It becomes extremely dangerous because previously we would think about the abstractions that we would create. We would think, okay, well, we start off with a gesture listener, which gives me a touch event, but then we create our own interface, a higher level of abstraction for our product interface, which says this means this to the product. Observable changes that. It's an amazing pattern, but it oversimplifies something that used to have some sort of weight to it, right? There was some sort of cost of creating a proper abstraction. And that's why I get really nervous about teaching it and what I think you guys should be careful about. So in these small contexts, it's great. But once you guys start thinking about larger and larger things and better architectures, that's something that you guys really need to pay attention to, because you could literally create, everything becomes observable, and then now you need, if you don't have a good architecture and good abstractions on how you want to track and update things, it can lead to spaghetti code and it can lead to circular loops, right? Does that make sense, guys? The other thing is that it also reduces, there's one reason why I love Java so much. I love Java. I wish I could give it a hug sometimes. I really love Java. I love Java because when you learn, like I said, whenever you're learning Java, there's a weight to it, right? Like when you create a list, there's a clear weight to the creation of it. It's not so. Kay, you've been working with Node, right? Like the act of creating in JavaScript, the action for creating a list is you just put like brackets and then boom, you can just type it out, right? So it's great for, so like JavaScript, it's really easy to create those things, but when you guys learn algorithms and stuff, right, you guys learn about like the performance of everything, right? Trees, like, and all that stuff. And so I think Java exposes that in the language itself, right? It's very verbose when you type things out, right? You have to explicitly say find, and that find has a clear performance associated with it. Like RX is, I think, great, but it oversimplifies something that is actually pretty complicated. Like you guys saw like the subscribe on. I'm subscribing to a new thread, but how would we have handled it Like there's a very good reasons why I went through this example, which is in order to get the performance, you actually have to know a lot about executor services, how to create thread pools, right? This is done in what, 4 lines, which is great for brevity, but if you don't understand what's happening underneath, don't use this. Understand what's happening, like understand how to get the maximum performance out of your stuff, but don't use this if you don't understand the stuff that's happening underneath. Okay? But it's awesome. I love RX2, but just use it in the right way. Okay? Cool. That's all I had for you guys today. This is the last lecture. You guys hopefully are doing good on your projects. If there's any Q&A, like if you guys have any questions, definitely ask me. But for now, we will stop here. Okay? Cool, guys. Thanks.